Welcome to Sandrock, a small rundown town in the middle of the desert, home to 32 wacky residents, 8 adorable animal companions, and soon enough, to me too. You see, Sandrock needs builders, people brave enough to adventure into the ruins of the old world, gather pre-apocalypse technology for research, and get out in one piece to help rebuild society. And so, here we are today, on a train to the middle of nowhere, leaving behind everything we've ever known to help a struggling community. For the next month, I'll be dealing with my chaotic neighbours, the town's crazy climate, and finding out just how dangerous this town truly is. So buckle up and get ready for the next 28 days of this cozy life sim RPG, full of hope against all odds as we progress through the fantastic story that is my time at Sandrock. I arrived in Sandrock on Monday the 1st of summer, and after stepping off the train to my new home, I met Mian, my first new friend and a fellow builder who had also recently moved here.
Howdy!
Mian was the first of 21 romanceable characters I was going to meet, and that meant I was going to need to look out for someone special to settle down with. Mian introduced me to the president of the Commerce Guild, Yan, whose bad attitude awarded him the title of least favourite neighbour very quickly. As Sandrock's newest builder, I'd be taking over the workshop of retiree Mason, and my first job was to craft myself a stone pickhammer. It was also very important for me to never, ever, ever cut down a tree. I need you to remember this rule and prepare yourself for Cactus Gate. You don't need to know what that is right now, but you do need to know I could find the wood I needed in junk piles around my workshop. Mian and I headed over to check out my new home, which was a bit rundown and messy, and after talking about Sandrock's recent struggles, we agreed to bring Sandrock back to its glory days. Whilst cleaning up the place, I spotted a stone axe and gathered enough materials to craft myself my stone pickhammer. These tools would provide me with plenty of beginner resources to craft and build new things, like a basic recycler for sifting through scrap and finding me even more resources. I'd need to upgrade all of the tools and machines I made as I access new areas, which introduces us to the grind of Sandrock, which is basically using my daily stamina off screen to gather everything I needed to make progress. And whilst I did cut out these more repetitive chores, sometimes something interesting would happen that I wanted you to see. Did I just see that camel get hit by a train? I need to go check.
Hear a tall tale. Come on down to the Blue Moon Saloon.
I think that there's some permanent damage here. Yep. As we moved swiftly on, I spotted a wanted poster outside of the Commerce Guild, offering 100,000 goals for a bandit named Logan, who was accused of being a vandal, saboteur, water thief, and all-around perpetrator of bad behaviour. Wait, is that the guy that we saw in the cutscene? The one that was watching the train? Yan seemed slightly disappointed that my recycler didn't blow up, and I was more than happy that he'd be far too busy to answer my questions, so I left as soon as I could and ended up meeting another new animal friend. That's not a cat. That was the most human sounding cat I have ever heard. Before I could finally make it to the city hall, I was distracted again.
Halt! Who goes there? Oh, it's you. I thought you were one of Logan's gang. Silly me, you look nothing like an outlaw.
Pen, the self-proclaimed protector of Sandrock and enforcer of the Church of Light, was the second romanceable character I'd met today, and I did not like him. He challenged me to spar with him under the guise of training, so I agreed to fight him because I am very brave.
Now, oh, my turn!
No! No!
Stand still, this won't hurt! Yeah, badge!
Oh no.
Enough. I grow weary of this. Time to end this!
Ow! He's mean. Penn loved hazing me, but little did he know he'd awakened something inside of me. Something vengeful. I vowed that I would beat him in combat, no matter what. I was finally able to register my workshop with Matilda, Minister of the Church of Light and Interim Mayor, and then I showed my license to as many of my new neighbours as I could, including Justice, the leader of the Civil Corps, and Heidi, the town's architect, who were also romanceable characters. My excitement was swiftly ruined by Jan when Mian and I had to stop him from getting beaten up.
Listen here, you lazy mopstick. Me and my boys have had it up to here with your excuses. Where's our lift, huh?
Oh, look! Rocky, old buddy, old pal!
Don't you buddy me, pal. Since Mason's leaving, you promised me you'd do it yourself. First it was you had a cold, and then it was your turtle beans. And today I find out you don't even got a turtle. Do you understand how much money I'm losing here? So now, I gotta give you a beatdown. Sorry, pal, but it's a company policy.
Wait, no, Rocky, look! Well, what I really meant is, I was bringing in new people to take special care of your commission. Look, here they are.
Did we come at a bad time?
I'd argue that yes, we did arrive at a bad time, but only because we accidentally helped Jan out of the trouble he'd gotten himself into by taking on the commission of 1 crane lift each. Rocky gave us access to his salvage yard for extra materials, and I showed everyone in the Commerce Guild my brand new license. It didn't take me long to bump into my very next romanceable character, as I was on my way to the salvage yard and wandered too close to a hazardous ruin.
Hi. You're the new builder. I'm unsure. Second or third in command in the Civil Corps. I'm not really sure. We keep the peace around here because if we didn't, things would be a lot less peaceful. Oh, you want to go in here? I thought you just wanted to chat with me. Well, the lock on this door here is broken, and Justice told me not to let anyone in or out until it's fixed. So, sorry.
After discovering a strange disc in the salvage at Rocky's yard, I headed to the research centre to show the director, Chi, Bachelor number 3, and the only person I could ask for diagrams to build new machines. I also met Elsie, the Yakmel farmer's daughter, who seemed very playful, Mort, an old man who I wanted to be best friends with, and a mysterious man named Fang, who was being haunted by a creepy, disembodied voice.
What do you want? You must be looking for the doctor.
There is no way that was that man's voice. As the morning of my second day in Sandrock hit, I'd need to get used to my daily chores if I had any hope of completing the crane lift for Rocky, but I also really wanted to finish meeting all of my new neighbours and learn my way around the town. If only there was someone in town to show me around.
Hi there, builder! Special delivery!
Jasmine, Sandrock's paper girl and daughter of the absent mayor, offered me a tour of the town, and on my way to meet her, I bumped into Owen, owner of the Blue Moon Saloon and a new potential romance partner. Jasmine showed me to the Wandering Y Yakmel Ranch, Martol's Oasis and the town's water tower, City Hall on Main Street with an assortment of shops, and finally to the Church of Light at the peak of the town. I'd managed to meet a few business owners along the way, including Elsie's pa, Cooper, Heidi's grandma, Vivi, and another bachelor, Arvio, owner of a shop called By the Stairs, who was kind enough to give us a 50% discount. Back at my workshop, I found a letter from home, including some gifts and offering to send me some quilts, beginning a storyline I like to know as the Quilt Saga. During my daily grind, I stumbled across Elsie in a fight for her life.
Come on, you old geezer! Help me out!
After being mistaken for her pa, I questioned whether she should still be considered a romantic interest, and distracted myself from the awkward moment by building a furnace for my workshop, adding to the long list of chores I'd need to complete every day. After looking at the commission board in the Commerce Guild, I also added commissions to that list, as completing these would increase our workshop rating and ranking. At our first fireside meeting, Matilda introduced Mian and I to the town, and I managed to meet 3 new romance candidates. Miguel, the not-so-humble pastor of the Church of Light, Katori, the owner of the game centre and museum, and Burgess, the chief safety inspector. Burgess stopped by my house the next morning to give me water, explaining that it was a very important resource in a place as hot and dry as Sandrock. Getting water would be a crucial task during my time here, as all of our machines relied on our water tank to work, and buying water would be a huge cost if we didn't find a way to collect our own. Another important task was inventory management, which I learnt the hard way when I couldn't steal from my neighbours, because everything I shoved in my pockets fell straight out. I feel like the universe is telling me I shouldn't steal. I did not listen to the universe and continued my thievery. I met Grace, a student and cook at the Blue Moon Saloon, who claimed to use sand in her omelettes, and added her name to the ever-growing list of potential future partners. I also made an attempt to speak to Jan, but after he told me that builder productivity had dropped by 12% since my arrival, I quickly regretted trying. I headed to bed for my 3rd late night in a row, and learned the importance of getting an early night when I woke up with 2 black eyes. Despite my dark circles, I needed to get the daily grind finished, including making a pointy spear to poke Pen with. And maybe Jan too. I made my way over to meet Owen for lunch at the Blue Moon, and he gave me all of the tea on Sandrock and my new neighbours, including Amira, who he seemed to like a lot.
Amira makes ceramics that are top-notch. I think she's even starting to gain some recognition from people outside of Sandrock. You can definitely tell Amira is the older sister. She's always the one covering for her brother whenever his youth gets the better of him. What's also amazing is that she never lets her skills get to her head. She's very down to earth and she... sorry, maybe I'm talking too much. Today was nice. We gotta do this more often. In any case, let me hit you with a couple takeaway dishes for later. Builders can't go hungry, you know?
I decided that it was time to start a bar fight, so I challenged the weakest looking person in there to spar with me, which happened to be Burgess, arguably the most innocent, pure and non-violent bachelor in Sandrock. He didn't stand a chance. I took my success as a sign that I was unbeatable, and tried my luck against my favourite member of the Civil Corps. Oh, he hits hard. Oh, why did I choose the heavy weapon? It's so slow. Oh, he hits so hard. No. At least he was willing to cheer me up by throwing some shade on Jan. I finally finished the crane lift and installed it with Mian, which gave us access to the abandoned ruins below. So I decided I'd have a look around the next day, after being beaten to a pulp by Rocky. I really needed to get stronger before I had any chance of beating Pen. The majority of my day was spent collecting copper and tin ores, as well as relics and old world parts, which could only be found by ruin diving, a chore that needed to be added to the off-screen daily grind. Outside, I met Crystal, Rocky's partner in business and in life, who I was able to win against while sparring. Then I was notified that my machines had no water to work, and ended up having to buy some from Burgess's shop. I was quickly cheered up by witnessing Rocky vs Yan round 2, minus the pummeling, and finished the day by sparring with Chi, only to wake up to a huge sandstorm. Pen showed up to bring me some protective clothing, and in return, I followed him into battle, valiantly poking a giant yakmel a couple of times with my spear. I began my daily chores of gathering wood from the bushes and cacti, which led me to making a huge mistake. Now, I need you to hear me out. There was no way in my mind that a cactus could be a tree. Yes, The cactus did have the word tree in its name. No, I didn't read that before I swung my axe at it. But luckily, Burgess was available to guilt trip me into never doing it again by telling me that everyone would hate me if I did. I decided that I'd stick to some safer daily tasks instead, pottering around town a little, reading my first letter from my best friend back home, Nia, and then I decided to head to the salvage ruins. I was having a really bad day. I grabbed Chi's bronze pick hammer and checked out our surroundings for an exit, but without my jetpack, our options were human catapult or very tall ladder. We opted for the ladder, despite my desire to see how the human catapult would work. I began collecting resources from junk piles and finally managed to build our way out, making Chi promise to never enter the ruins again if I'd find relics for him, which meant I get to keep his pick hammer because it was better than my current one. The town pulled together to rebuild after the storm, but unfortunately Owen's stage couldn't be saved. So Mian and I agreed to help build a new one, and she mentioned that I'd need to go deeper into the mines for better resources, which is something I did not figure out until far, far later in the season. I somehow managed to fall off the side of the crane lift whilst messing around, and then I tried my hand at sparring with Justice and Owen, two of the town's stronger opponents. Oh, he does so much damage. I'm faster than him though. I think I can do this. I just can't get hit anymore. No! Oh, he doesn't even have a weapon. Oh, okay, but he's really quick. He's really quick and he does really, like, a lot of damage. No. Oh, I had a lot of work to do if I was gonna beat Penn. As the first day of week 2 dawned, I was so ready to have a more chilled out time, aiming to finish meeting everyone in town, win some fights while sparring, and complete my current missions. But Elsie had other ideas when she decided that Mian and I needed a break from working.
Oh, shucks, another one of you? Alright, that's it. This is an intervention. I'm taking the two of you out to do something fun. No commissions allowed.
Her suggestion of mountain climbing and Yakmo wrangling didn't go down well, and Elsie eventually agreed to visiting the game centre after Mian hit her with puppy dog eyes. I waited for the pair to look away before grabbing my commission, which I made sure to craft and deliver before I made my way over to meet them. Mian and I played whack-a-mole and quickly noticed that Elsie had disappeared, so we decided to check inside of the game centre.
Yeehaw! Get wrecked, you old scrub! What the? I lost? Let's go again, you dumb machine!
We grabbed some food at the Blue Moon. Elsie decided to jump scare us with a jack-in-the-box, and on my way home, Burgess decided to stop me for a quick personality type quiz. He proclaimed me a do-gooder, which apparently meant it was my job to clean up the piles of sand from around the Church of Light. Instead of completing my community service immediately, I decided to stop at the research centre.
Ah! You're here for the interview too? Run away while you still can! He's crazy! Crazy, I tell ya!
Chi was far too invested in his work to notice the applicant's loud exit, and came to the conclusion that he must have somehow shapeshifted into me. He insulted the intelligence of absolutely anyone and everyone who wasn't himself, and I got the impression that no one could ever live up to his expectations, so I volunteered as tribute to come back and help him with his work tomorrow. On my way up to the church, I ran into Penn. He told me that the sandstorm had blown away the wanted posters around town, so I agreed to help him put them up again, only to find him slacking off at church with Burgess. He told me that Burgess had lost his training weapons, so I agreed to make a new set, despite them clearly being misplaced intentionally. I quickly cleaned the church before finishing hanging the last wanted posters, and the next morning built a processor for my workshop. Penn informed me that Burgess had found his training weapon under his bed, and I made my way over to my first day as Cheese assistant. My job was to clean up all of the piles of dirt around the research center, and then I was told to organize his cabinet of doom. I accidentally flirted with him and was immediately put into the lab assistant zone, and then I tried flirting with him again for science, which resulted in being compared to his old friend back home. I am not sure whether being in the old friend zone was better than the lab assistant zone, but I wasn't feeling any sparks happening between us. I made my escape and ran into X, Fang's raven companion, and the owner of the creepy voice from day one, who was scamming a couple of tourists.
Are these really free? I always believe there's no such thing as a free lunch.
What does this medicine actually do?
My aching back!
I'm good, Doc. I'm good.
Yeah, it's healed.
Surely a bird would never mislead us.
Impossible. Animals are pure of heart.
I'll take 20.
I'll take 20.
I wasn't so sure about that, but I tried some of the medicine anyway, and ended up passing out. My position as Cheese assistant was terminated by City Hall, as my work as builder was too important to risk getting distracted, so I did my best to get over the absolute devastation by finishing the new stage, installing it with Mian, and fighting with my neighbours. I was one win closer to beating Penn, and I celebrated my success alongside the old builder Mason at his retirement party. There was a bit of family drama between Elsie and her ma, Mabel, who felt that Elsie needed to be far more mature before pursuing her interests, and Mort expressed his concerns about people leaving Sandrock, which dampened the mood of the party a bit. But the vibe was quickly raised when I found a letter from a secret admirer in my mailbox. It was pretty neat how you rebuilt the stage after the sandstorm. Actually, you've done a lot of cool things since you got here. Already, Mason's old place looks a lot better than when he lived there. The way he'd decorate his yard with garbage. I mean, you have to admit it was original, but it just wasn't for me. You're a lot nicer than he is too. I like how you're always working hard and helping people out. It's a refreshing change of pace. If everyone in the world were more like you, well, at the very least, we'd have a lot more stages. Anyway, here's an opal. You don't have to thank me. I hope it can be the kind of pal that makes you say, oh. As the name implies. A secret guy who thinks you're cool. I was desperate to know who sent me this letter, but apparently not desperate enough to send a reply. I was also updated on the quilt saga, with Ma telling me that they'd been stopped in a city named Atara, as they thought the quilts contained a secret code for Duvos, the bordering empire who had been causing a lot of trouble. Luckily, she wasn't arrested for the misunderstanding, and I brought that luck with me to spar with Owen, which was a closer fight than I wanted, but I was ultimately successful. I was beginning to feel like I'd really settled into the cozy life Sandrock had to offer, until the sand bandits attacked.
Stop the train!
It's in the back. I'll go.
Everybody hands up. Nobody moves. Hey now, hands up. No funny business.
Well,
I got it. Let's go.
Freeze, Logan. We've got you now.
good day.
Consarn it. Not again.
It looked to me like Logan and Haru were looking for something specific, and they hadn't stolen anything from any of the passengers, including our new neighbour, Ernest the journalist, a new bachelor. I quickly threw together a drying rack to dry some fish for Mort, and headed into town, where I found Jan shaking down Owen for additional overnight commission fees. Grace had blown up the kitchen, Mian had repaired it, and Jan was not happy that she'd given Owen a discount. He paid up, and I agreed to help him convince Grace not to contribute to the fees.
I just need to put in a bit of salt. Thanks, boss.
Grace agreed that she wouldn't pay Owen back for the damages, and I decided to put Owen down on a shortlist for Best Romance Candidate. Then I fixed the train's window, ranking my workshop up from 5th place to 4th place. I'd need to double down on my commissions if I had any hope of beating Jan. I finished my day by delivering dried fish to Mort, and we enjoyed a cup of tea together whilst he told me about Sandrock's sad history. He and his wife Martel, the founder of Sandrock, believed they could balance the town's development and maintaining the environment, but it had been harder than they thought. He came to believe that Sandrock was a town doomed to be plagued by disaster, and it sounded like he regretted not moving away with her whilst he had the chance. His only hope was that Mian and I would be more careful than the builders before us, and I made a promise to myself that I would make sure Mort could one day see the Sandrock he dreamed of. Which probably didn't include mutated lizard people throwing things at our only source of water. And Burgess.
Ask me more. Retreat!
After watching the Geeglers waddle off, I helped Burgess clean up the oasis, read a letter from my bestie Nia, and then headed to make a delivery for Arvio's shop, which was due to go to Owen. I still hadn't found the Blue Moon sign which had blown away in the sandstorm yet, so I quickly tracked it down, taking out the rocket roosters that were guarding it, and then got sidetracked before I could deliver both items to him. Ernest was trying and failing to interview Mabel, so I gave him the few facts I knew about Logan, and we realised we were being watched by Jasmine. It turned out she was a big fan, so he offered to sign her book, and she offered him some constructive criticism.
And Jasmine, sweetie, why don't you tell me, what was your favorite part about this book?
Actually, I thought the story this time was a bit contrived.
Eh? Contrived? Wow, such a big girl word. Where did you...
I'm not finished. The characters are paper thin, and if you've even been paying half attention, you can see every twist coming from a legal way. I think you've been really writing it in lately. Your old stuff was way better.
Well, little kid, with all due respect, you're a little kid and you don't know anything.
I'm your primary demographic!
After being very offended by a child, Ernest admitted that she was right, but that he had plenty of fans who were looking forward to reading more from him. I finally installed Owen's sign and delivered his package, noticing some new posters around the place for Haru, Logan's accomplice, who apparently wasn't worth as much reward money as his companion. I built and installed a sunshade for the oasis, and then successfully beat up Justice, which was easier than I thought it would be. I finished the week by adding a grinder to my many workshop machines, and finally met the elusive Amira on the first day of our 3rd week in Sandrock. It kind of looked like we had a bit of a moment after she dropped her pot of clay, but my huge hat was blocking the view, so I made a mental note and offered to deliver clay to her twice a week. I was then roped into another delivery by her brother Arvio, with a side mission of figuring out whether or not Fang hated him. I headed straight to the clinic to deliver the package, and it seemed like bad news for Arvio. I moved on to defeat the final opponent on my list, Rocky, listened to Cooper rant for an extra 2 stamina points, and then I fixed a hole in his fence. A salvage worker named Venti offered to sneak me into the yard to get scraps at night for free, which is definitely stealing, so I immediately agreed, spent some time using Cheese Pickhammer to gather rocks whilst waiting to meet her, and then we broke in together to get some free scrap. The next day, Arvio requested yet another delivery, and after dropping it off, I headed down to the moisture farm to introduce myself to Zeke.
That was a close one. Everybody all right in here?
Fortunately, the damage had only affected the plants, which meant all Zeke needed to do was clean up and...
Is that thing over there important, Zeke? It looks pretty busted up.
Oh yes, the hydrogel. All the crops will die without that.
So it was up to me to create the new hydrogel before we ran out of food and starved. But I needed to convince Justice to let me get some of the components from The Breach, a closed-off hazardous ruins in town. Inside, I defeated many angry robots and a concerning amount of geeglers as I went, before stumbling in on something nefarious.
What the? Interns, take what you can carry. Our ultimate weapon is nearly complete. VP, take care of this. I've got one last thing to do.
I quickly defeated the remaining geeglers and closed up the hole they'd been using to get inside. But when I told the Civil Corps, they didn't believe me. Arvio made one final delivery request and rewarded my hard work with an exclusive discount at his shop. Yay! Fang blinded me at his medical trial, and the impending food crisis was sending the town spiraling. But Owen came up with a dance-off requiring food donations to enter, and after some encouragement from Matilda, everyone else was on board. I gathered some meat and leather from the yak mill near my workshop, and built a dew collector to provide a small amount of water on a regular basis, but I'd need to make many more if I had any hope of fulfilling my water needs permanently. In total, I managed to donate 58% of the food needed to feed our town, which instantly met the donation goal. And on Friday the 19th of summer, my birthday had finally arrived. I was so excited to see how my neighbours would celebrate it with me, and when I saw Mian outside of my workshop, I was ready to begin the big day. The big day turned out to be a builder cruise, not my birthday, and Mian and I went to fix up the train station floor, the fence around the oasis, and we installed a couple of benches on the main street. The only person who knew it was my birthday was my ma, and she sent me a voucher to a fast food place I could use when I came back home. Elsie told me that she'd heard a rumour which could lead to the capture of something big, but she refused to give any details, so I decided to spend the rest of my birthday in the ruins. At least I finally figured out how to reach the lower levels. I finished the day by building the hydrogel's door, but I still needed to make the core before I could install it, so we weren't quite safe yet. Especially not as we had a criminal mastermind on the loose. Killer E had stolen Mian's builder's license and insulted her goggles, but had accidentally delivered the letters to the wrong person. A mysterious salesman teased me with a banquet table which would have been very helpful to celebrate yesterday, and I came across Grace trying to trick Justice into letting her into the breach. She needed old world items for her dissertation, so I offered to go inside on her behalf instead. I found all but one of the items she needed, but that last item was so well hidden that I didn't find it until winter. I confirmed with Mian that her license had been stolen, competed in the dance-off, and spoke to Owen, Jasmine, and Burgess for clues on suspicious activity. Cooper having a rant wasn't exactly groundbreaking evidence, but he did seem off when I spoke to him about it.
I ain't heard nothing about no ransom letter. And even if I did, I didn't. So quit asking. Get that letter out of my face. Don't try to make me read.
I had my answer in the morning when Elsie confessed to the theft, explaining that she wanted to force Mian into taking a break from work and that she'd had Cooper deliver the letter, but he'd taken it to the wrong builder's house. Elsie had somehow lost the license on her ranch, so I stopped by to look and found it next to her immediately. She told me she'd take it straight back to Mian, and I ended my week by having another dance in the dance-off. I spent the beginning of week 4 in the breach trying to find an engine for the hydrogel, as I'd decided that I wanted to get it fixed before the end of the month, and attended a Civil Corps meeting with Mian and Heidi, where we decided that we'd need to build tram carts to cross the canyon safely, as the bridge wasn't stable enough to use. Then I headed over to the middle of nowhere to find it with Elsie.
Run now!
I quickly grabbed some medicine to treat Meerkat's injured leg, headed back to my workshop to finish the hydrogel core, and crafted a bronze axe, which paired well with my stolen pickhammer. I used my axe the very next day to gather deadwood, installed the new hydrogel at the moisture farm, and found out that the owner of the town's parlour, Pablo, had returned from his trip. So I immediately went to visit him, and after he insulted my hair, I got a makeover. I wanted to stick with the green but make it a little bit prettier, and I think I went home looking 10 times better. I upgraded my work table and finished up by building a civil recycler for my workshop. I realised that I had taken on a commission which needed to be better quality, so I built a refiner, bought some fluorite from the Civil Corps shop, and was finally able to deliver the commission after having it for days. Our first big holiday arrived on the 27th of summer, and I received letters from Nia and my ma for the Day of Memories. I finally made it to second place on the workshop rankings, but Chi did not celebrate this progression in my career as a builder because he was still upset that I couldn't be his assistant. Instead, he wanted me to build a tea maker so he could just do everything by himself, and I am ashamed to say that I forgot to do this until winter, despite how easy the diagram was. With my higher workshop rating, I tried commerce inspections for the first time, and then I got trapped in the salvage ruins, which was very inconvenient timing with the fireside meeting coming up. Fortunately, I figured out that I could escape by using my map and joined the rest of the town to pay our respects to those we'd lost. We all took turns playing ghosts and ghost hunters in the Chase of Memories, with my first round acting as a ghost hunter. Whilst the ghosts hid, I played a bubble popper game to charge my detection meter. I looked around for out-of-place items, collected tokens to improve my score, and caught unsure Mian and Elsie before my turn was over. But then I began panicking when it was my turn to hide. How do I don't know how to do it. Oh no, I don't know how to do it. Where do I go? Oh, I don't get it. Oh, where do I go? How did he just... I managed to find a great spot to hide in and even grabbed a few tokens before the hunt began, but spent the whole time freaking out every time someone came near me. This is so scary. Stop looking here. Leave me alone. I'm just a scarecrow. There is nothing suspicious to see here. Go away. Don't you come up here. Don't you dare. Don't look at me! Leave me alone! I'm not suspicious, leave me alone! I won! Oh, that made me so anxious. The town gathered after the chase for the Wishing Festival, where we all released lanterns into the sky, and I watched them all float away with my new neighbours. On the final day of the season, I donated 200 gold to the church and read my copy of the Tumbleweed Standard. The oppressive empire of Duvos was causing problems on the border of Ethia, a fellow city-state of the Free Alliance, and whilst no fighting had begun with the unwanted visitors yet, tensions were definitely rising. Next time, in my time at Sandrock, we finally managed to cross the canyon where the Geeglers are hiding out, but our progression comes with a terrible price. Sandrock once again finds itself in a dire situation, and we find that our leaders cannot agree on how to move forward.
I've told you, Miguel, the people won't stomach another water tax hike.
Our neighbours are on edge, some are moving on entirely, and we have to face more enemies than ever before. Do we truly have what it takes to save everyone in Sandrock once more, and become even closer with our neighbours along the way? Or is it too late to save this fading town? Find out next time on My Time at Sandrock.